everyone. Thank you for joining me for this discussion about climate change's impact on our local South Shore communities. Coastal communities are some of the most vulnerable areas in the world to rising sea levels, flooding, and storm damage. As of 2014, the United States had 127 million people living in coastal areas. That's almost 40% of the entire U.S. population. So please keep in mind as we listen to climate leaders in our community talk about where we are and what's being done, that this isn't isolated to the South Shore of Massachusetts. We've asked each of our panelists to respond to a set of questions, and their responses have been put together for your viewing this evening. Our speakers tonight include Steve Wenner from Cohasset, Laura Burns from Hingham, and Jake Falloncourt from Hull. Each of the panelists have taken on climate change and a variety of leadership roles in their activism. You'll get to hear how they first got involved and what they believe is the next step for us. Everyone who will be speaking tonight has hope for our communities and our ability to take hold of the climate crisis. I hope by the end of our discussion you've found yourself asking new questions and feeling encouraged about the impact you have on this planet. After the discussion, I ask that each one of you writes down one thing you can do to make a difference in the world around you. With that being said, let's turn it over to our discussion board. Please enjoy.
Hi, I'm Steve Wenner. I'm a retired statistician residing in Cohasset. I'm a member of the town's Alternative Energy Committee. Our mission, among other things, is to help the town, the residents, and the businesses in Cohasset save money and at the same time reduce their carbon footprint by moving toward renewable energy. We have many projects underway at the time. We are bringing more solar power to Cohasset, in addition to the landfill solar array, which has saved the town hundreds of thousands of dollars so far. We have brought a dozen electric vehicle charging stations to Cohasset. We've got a microgrid project under investigation to help with the outages in town, and we've got hundreds of thousands of dollars in green communities grants and many other things. I'm also a member of the 350 Massachusetts Climate Advocacy Group. We like to talk to our legislators about climate priorities, and we have outreach campaigns to reach the public and educate the public and to work with our local communities.
Hi there, my name is Jake Falloncourt, and I'm an owner of Waste Hub LLC. Waste Hub is a company that focuses on industrial byproducts from the manufacturing process throughout North America. We work to develop solutions to convert those byproducts into materials that can be used in other processes for producing things that then people will buy. Typically, we're eliminating materials or we're competing with materials that would otherwise be mined with a material that was previously thrown away or burnt through incineration. So we have a very big sustainability impact in the industrial ecosystem. We're very proud of what we do. I've been doing that since 2012. It is my full-time job. And outside of that, professionally, I am a private pilot, instrument rated, and I'm actually working on a commercial rating right now. I fly for fun and also to get around for work sometimes. I'm also on the Hull Clean Energy Climate Action Committee, which is an appointed committee, and I'm on the I'm on the board on the Hull Municipal Light Plant Department's board of directors, if you will. And that is an elected position. I ran for office in the spring of 2020 and won a seat then, and it's a 3-year term.
Hi, I'm Laura Burns, and I live in Hingham, Massachusetts, and I'm pretty much working full-time on climate change now. I am a founder with 2 other people of Hingham Net Zero, which is Hingham's local climate action group. And what we do is help our town and our neighbors figure out how to take action on climate change. I got involved in climate change after serving 2 terms on the Board of Selectmen in Hingham. I got off the board in 2013 and thought about what I would do next. And I realized that if I got to work on climate change, that I would actually be helping every single person on the planet at the same time. So that's how I decided to get involved.
I decided to get involved in both of these activities essentially as a volunteer because I saw an opportunity to help my community actually innovate and be a change agent in terms of what can be done and what is going to be done addressing climate change locally. Not saying that we will solve the entire world's problem. My company Waste Hub won't, Hull won't, and Massachusetts overall will not. However, I have this fundamental belief that if we do the change that we want to see in the world and essentially lead by example, we are now making it much easier for other people like us to make the decision to change for the better.
Well, I think, like with most people, I only became gradually aware of the seriousness of the climate crisis. Maybe the first thing that made me think seriously about it was the testimony before Congress of James Hansen, Dr. James Hansen, the NASA climate scientist. He told our legislators that we had a looming problem of great seriousness and we should address it quickly and seriously. Well, of course, they did nothing. So time went by, things got worse, more science came in. In 1999, Michael Mann and his associates published a chart that became infamous called the hockey stick chart, which showed that over the last 1,000 years, temperatures were very stable until the last 100 years when the Industrial Revolution kicked in full bore and we dumped a hell of a lot of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere and temperatures shot up. On that scale, it looked like it was almost instantaneous. Well, it was very controversial. I went to a statistics conference and a session on this chart, which was an amazing thing. It was a room just packed with people, a large conference room, and they had press there, and they talked about this, pro and con, was the analysis done right or not? Well, anyways, I updated the chart a couple years ago, and Dr. Mann was right. It shot straight up even higher. And then this afternoon, I updated it a second time, and again, the chart just shooting up straight up. So we do have a serious problem, cannot be denied. 2014, there was a major event, the People's Climate March in New York City. I went there with my daughter. It was a wonderful thing to see so many people, maybe 400,000 people attended that event. So that's when I decided I had to become active.
I have a bit of a different view on climate change or the fight against climate change. Climates always are changing, but what we have is a concentration of greenhouse gases that have resulted in us accelerating the warming of our planet overall. And this higher concentration of greenhouse gases is causing irreversible harm to our planet's ability to self-regulate its temperature. So we have acidification of our oceans. We have sea level rise. We have more intense storms. We have people, more asthmatics. We have all kinds of issues. In fact, some have even linked climate change to part of the reason why we're dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm not an expert. I'm not a biologist when it comes to health and things like that. I'm just talking about some things I've read. The perspective that I take on climate change is a bit different, though. I believe that our planet is changing at a rate that it wouldn't change if humans were not causing this greenhouse gas emissions. And I also believe that our planet will still be here if we continue to burn fossil fuels and farm lots of cattle and other things that cause a higher concentration of greenhouse gases to be trapped in our atmosphere. The planet will still be here. The problem is that humanity will cease to exist. The human species will not survive if we don't adapt to our own problem that we've essentially created. And that's what we're really after. So we're not trying to protect or save our planet. We're actually trying to protect and save our species and the millions of other species that we share this wonderful planet with. That's what we're actually fighting for, in my opinion. And it's a bit of a different perspective.
What are the problems that climate change will cause for Cohasset residents and businesses? Well, we are going to be impacted, and it will be serious. The predictions of NOAA, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, predict that if we continue on the path that we're on without curtailing our carbon emissions, we will expect to see flooding, serious flooding in Cohasset, to the extent that every other year or so, we'll experience at least an 8-foot storm surge, which will drive water not just over the harbor, flood the harbor, but also up into the village and other areas around Cohasset. It's going to be very serious. Also, of course, climate change results in stronger storms, which will cause flooding just from storm damage. And at the same time, we're going to have long periods of drought. So a strange contradiction in climate change effects is that you can have alternating floods, too much water, and then have droughts. And Cohasset will be affected by both of those. Well, what will be the situation if we really get on the bandwagon and address climate change seriously and achieve the Paris Accord agreement? Well, if we succeed in doing that, flooding will be much less. In Hull, which I've actually taken a look at in some detail, if we do not address climate change and just continue as business as usual, about almost half of Hull will experience flooding twice a month during the high tides, the normal high tides you have every month. But if we achieve the goals of the Paris Climate Accord, that the amount of flooding will be drastically reduced, down to around 12% of Hull will be flooded twice a month, which is a lot less than 50%. So if we do address climate change, we can have a big effect and reduce the damage a lot.
Zooming into Hull, Massachusetts, some of the problems we face, we're a peninsula that is barely above sea level, so sea level rise is a significant threat. The town has not done what is necessary, but also who's going to pay hundreds of millions of dollars to do what's necessary to completely protect us from sea level rise and severe storms? Not sure of that, but there's more to be done. The Clean Energy Climate Action Committee has outlined steps that can be taken and is working on all kinds of cool projects to help reduce local emissions and encourage a conversion to 100% non-carbon emitting energy sources by 2030. So I'm very excited about that.
Our town right now doesn't really actually have a plan for how to confront climate change. We do have a plan for climate mitigation. How are we going to deal with the effects of climate change in our town? But we don't have a plan for doing our part in stopping climate change across the world. So Hingham Net Zero feels that that is the first step for us to do, is to get a plan for how to do our part to solve the problem of climate change. So very excited because this question of having a climate action plan is going to be coming to town meeting in just a couple of weeks. And I think we've seen a lot of community support for it. So the town will be hopefully adopting the plan to make a plan and form a committee to do that plan and come up with ways that we here in Hingham can act on climate change.
There are some different climate scenarios that have impact to Hull that will impact and cause potential harm to residents and businesses. One of which is the severe storms. The more severe storms, we have a somewhat fragile electrical grid, or sorry, not in town, but serving our town. The feeder lines are fragile. So these more severe storms, higher winds more frequently, cause more frequent power outages of a long duration in the winter, and that's caused us to take some actions temporarily that were expensive, and there's a lot going on there. One of the questions that I was asked is, should the South Shore and our town be focused more on mitigating or adapting to climate change? And I think that the follow-on question to that is, there's still hope that we can work to protect our communities, or is it too late? Well, it's not too late until we're all gone, right? So there's no such thing as too late. Do we have to potentially take more drastic actions now? Whereas if we started to take certain actions and change certain things about our world 30 or 40 years ago, sure. But in my opinion, it's not too late until we're gone. So I'm optimistic on that.
And on the South Shore, we're seaside communities. So it's really a big issue to us, just dealing with the effects of climate change as they come along. But it's not really a choice to just mitigate climate change or just work on adapting to climate change. We have to do both of those things, because the time is so late. We really don't have the option to choose one over the other.
We should be concerned not just with what will be happening in our own neighborhood, our own backyard, but also what happens in our larger society, in the world as a whole. Relatively few people are going to lose their lives due to flooding. What's going to kill people is social disintegration. And this disintegration we have examples of already. Honduras and Guatemala experienced tremendous damage from hurricanes last year, which destroyed their croplands and flooded and destroyed a lot of their housing. And this came after several years of serious drought. So the net result was that people who made their living as small farmers were unable to do that, and they had no choice. They had to move, and so that's why we have a major surge of refugees, climate refugees, if you will, from Central America coming up to this country.
First of all, learn. Right? Learn about energy efficiency, learn about all the wonderful things, all the resources that exist, and find like-minded individuals, people who are interested in this, and group up. Getting together, sharing ideas, and then communicating what's working to others in your community is so powerful, and we're doing that. And we're seeing some benefits of that, and we've only been doing this for a couple of years now. So I think that's one of the most powerful things we can do, is coming together as a community, sharing knowledge, and also making sure that we're taking these steps that we're able to take.
What can we do to help address the climate crisis? Well, we can take action on an individual level, and we take action on a collective social level. On the individual level, maybe the biggest thing we should strive to do is to move away from fossil fuels. One strategy for doing this is to electrify everything. Let's change our home heating with heat pumps and electric stoves, and our transportation with electric vehicles, to electrify everything, every use of energy in our lives. And then as the electrical grid becomes greener, produced by more renewable energy, then that will greatly help reduce our carbon footprint. Another thing we can do is our diet. Amazingly enough, just giving up eating beef will have a tremendous impact on our climate footprint, our carbon footprint. I really like the Impossible Burger. I don't think that many people can tell the difference between Impossible Burger and real meat. So there are things we can do on a personal level, but more importantly, vastly more importantly, is that we join together and do things as a society. So this means that we have to join organizations that want to address climate change and argue with our government to move faster on this. We're moving in the right direction, but we just have to move faster. Unfortunately, we've waited too long We can't dally anymore. We have to really put the metal to the pedal, so to speak.
And we, like I said, we have a plan for adapting to climate change. And I'm looking forward to working with the community on trying to reduce climate change. So here in Hingham, if you want to get involved in this, we have Hingham Net Zero. Just go to hinghamnetzero.org and send us an email. We'll put you on the email list and we'll tell you everything that we're doing. And there's also, the town has a Clean Energy Action Committee that works on these issues. And there are a lot of statewide organizations as well that you can get involved in to do this. But I think what I have found just in the last couple of years is that when state organizations do a wonderful job, especially around state issues like legislation or policy or regulation at the state level, but it's hard for the average citizen to really kind of to get their minds around it. If you say, I'm going to work on climate change, and they think, oh, I have to deal with the whole world. I have to deal with something huge, even dealing with what's going on in my state. It feels like too much. And I found that when we started Hingham Net Zero, that people were really able to think to themselves, okay, Hingham, that's my town. I can do something for my town. I can get my arms around that. That's something I can do. And people have been much more willing to come forward and work on things on a local basis. And we need all of it. We need people working on the local issues like we are. We need state action. We need national action. We need world action. So no matter what level you choose to engage it, you're helping.
Hull2030.com is the website that we've created. We have some tips and tricks on there, and we'd be happy for folks to reach out to us and get involved by going to that website, listening to our updates, coming to our meetings, anything that you can do. Volunteer your time if you're interested in that. If not, and you just want to learn about how to make your home or your business more energy efficient, still check out our website and reach out. We have people who are experts right in Hull who are happy to share what they know with you. And it's a very exciting time. Yes, there's lots of troubles in the world. There's lots of challenges and threats we face as a society and as the human race. But fundamentally, I believe that we are smart enough and capable enough of driving the changes necessary to ensure our future success.
So I guess that I would just like to thank everyone for putting together this event. It is Earth Day. It is a very important Earth Day. And I'm glad that we're beginning this discussion in our towns on the South Shore. And I really look forward to continuing it with all of you in the future.
So overall, I'm optimistic. Hope to meet you. Hope that my video helps everyone, and be well.
Thanks for joining us.
If you liked listening to this discussion and want to keep thinking about our environment, what we're doing, and what we could do, please join us for a virtual showing of David Attenborough's A Life on Our Planet. You can access the movie for free online by going to hulltv2.wixsite.com/hulltv2. Again, that's hulltv2.wixsite.com/hulltv2. There will be a live showing at 8 p.m. on Thursday, April 22nd on Hull TV2 by going to the website listed and clicking Start Watching Hull TV on the screen. And the movie can be accessed on the website's on-demand function anytime for free, or on Netflix with a subscription. As Attenborough says in the movie, we're facing nothing less than the collapse of our living world. No one wants this to happen. None of us can afford for this to happen. We've played a pretty significant role in changing our planet, and now we're going to need to all play a much bigger role in restoring it. Thank you for listening to our discussion tonight, and please tune in online to watch the movie.